Anyone? What's the whole, sis?
There is only one true God.
That there's what?
One God that is supposed to worship.
Correct. Anything else? Brother?
Not to serve and worship anything besides the Most High.
That is correct. Now, what we're going to be getting into today is a few stories in the Bible, either about people who have done things for their false gods, or people that stuck to the Most High God and didn't compromise or didn't give in. All right. So I know we last left off, as the brother was saying earlier, in Wisdom of Solomon, right? I want to start off with Isaiah chapter 42, verse 17. So if you all can go into Isaiah chapter 42, verse 17. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 17.
Want to read?
No.
Yeah, no.
Brother can read when you got it.
Oh, I'll go back. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 17. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed to trust in graven images that say to the molten images, ye are our gods.
So, Black, Hispanic, and Native American people have a big issue in worshiping and serving and praying to graven images, molten images, and we call them gods. We have Native Americans who believe in the spirit of the earth and the sun and the moon god and Mother Earth and the frog Koki god, and all types of stuff. We got Hispanics that are big into Catholicism and tattoo the Virgin Mary on their backs and then kill someone the next day so that way they can get better drug deal sales and all types of stuff. You have Black people that really love that white Jesus, that do anything for white Jesus, that have a white Jesus picture and a statue inside of a case frame in their room. We all worship these graven images, these false gods. But here in Isaiah 42, what does it say again? Read, brother.
They shall be turned back.
It says that we shall be turned back. And it's speaking about us. We will be turned back. That's exactly what all of you are doing right now as you sit in these chairs in this classroom and as you watch online. You are turning back. You're turning back away from these grave images that you put so much trust and faith and belief in. You're turning back and you're turning away from all these molten images that you've grown up worshiping in the Catholic Church and in the Christian Church. And we've been ashamed, because when you start learning that Jesus Christ wasn't a white man, and that the statue that you see of Jesus Christ in the Catholic Church is not really him, you feel ashamed and disgusted and disappointed and lied to when you find out that that's not the real Jesus Christ. You feel ashamed when you find out that as a Black, Hispanic, or Native American, you shouldn't be a Buddhist.
Right.
You should feel ashamed and disappointed and be disgusted with yourself when you find out that you should not be praying and hugging trees and not eating cows because you believe what the Hindus believe in, that the cow is sacred.
Right.
Eat that beef. That's where you get protein from. Go have yourself a steak. Want to say something about it?
If I may, anybody who actually studies the caste system will tell you they also believe in colorism. The caste system is colorist. What they call the untouchables are the darkest East Indians. And the reason it was so easy for the Europeans to take them over is because they have a system where the lighter you are, the better you are.
Right.
So you're basically re-putting yourself back under white supremacy by being a Buddhist or a Hindu.
Anyone else want to say something?
Well, if I can say one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The most famous, I want to say he was a Hindu, is Gandhi. Gandhi openly supported apartheid and was a very racist man against colorists. Why? Because he comes from a culture that is naturally colorist and hates black people.
Say that one time. Gandhi was a colorist?
Yeah, Gandhi was a colorist. Gandhi supported apartheid in the early 1900s. Easily look that up. Gandhi, and his main concern was the fact, now we ain't Hamites, but his main concern was the fact the Hamites were treating him bad because he was an East Indian who was living inside a conquered Hamite land by the power of the Europeans who put him there. Because obviously they were putting the East Indians above the Hamites, just like they put the East Indians above our brothers inside the Caribbean. So when the Hamites aren't like us, they actually have a backbone. So when they fought back against the Elamites, what's called Gandhi got mad and started to be even openly racist. There's even quotes of him talking about it.
So let's drop that and let's go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 22. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 22.
Well, I'll have it. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 22. Ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a menstruous cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, Get thee hence.
Now, what does the word defile mean? Because normally, when reading the Bible, right, we'll see the word defile being used for us, we defiling ourselves, or we defile ourselves by turning away from God to serve these other false gods, or we defile ourselves by marrying heathen women or heathen men. So here it's saying that we shall defile the coverings of the graven images of silver. So what does defile mean? Anyone? Defile, anyone want to look it up? No, when you don't know something, that's the number one thing you should do. Go ahead.
Defile, to make unclean, to render foul or dirty, in the general sense, to make impure, to render turbid, as the water or liquor is defiled, to soil or sully, to tarnish, as reputation.
Correct, because also in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, it says defile is to profane, pollute, render unclean. So we would render ourselves unclean or pollute ourselves when we would turn our back against the Lord and worship these false gods and these false images and these idols. But now let's read the scripture again.
Ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver.
So it's saying that we shall defile the coverings of thy graven images of silver. So what is it saying right here? Brother?
We shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver.
If we defiled ourselves, right, and we just read the definition, right? If we defiled ourselves and turned away from the Lord to do all these wicked things, now it's saying, ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver. You remember what a graven image is, correct? Sister, you remember what a graven image is? A graven image is basically an idol, something that you carve of a false god to worship. So this is saying that we're going to defile the coverings of these graven images. So we know that defile means to pollute, to render unclean, right? But we're going to make these graven images unclean. So notice how we would make ourselves, we would defile ourselves to worship this graven image of silver. Now we're going to defile this graven image of silver. So remember in chapter 42, verse 17, it said that they shall be turned back, correct? So in chapter 30, verse 22, is saying that we're going to defile these graven images. So part of us turning back is we're going to defile these fake images that we thought were gods. We're going to destroy them. We're going to treat them like they're disgusting and unclean and dirty and treat them like they shouldn't be touched. And the ornament of thy molten images of gold, and all these images of gold that people would resurrect. Imagine a golden or imagine a silver image of the Virgin Mary and a golden image of Caesar Borgia, white Jesus. Now we're going to defile them. We're going to spit on them. We're going to destroy them. We're going to pour paint on them. We're going to put fire and flame to them so they melt. We're going to defile them. We're going to make them unclean. We're going to treat them unholy when we used to treat them as if they were the most holiest things on earth. It says, thou shalt cast them away as a menstrual cloth. Now, I know we have some ladies here. We have some ladies online. I'm pretty sure there's just fellas in here that have daughters or have a woman. A menstruous cloth, very dirty, right? Very nasty. No one wants to touch a menstrual cloth, but we're going to treat these false gods like a disgusting menstrual cloth, like a cloth filled with blood. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to look at it. It looks disgusting. No, people get faint and pass out of the sight of blood. People are going to look at these false gods and pass out because it's just unbearable, disgusting to watch. Right. And then we shall say, get thee hence. We will tell all these fake images and the people who believe in these fake images and gods and idols to get thee hence. Get out of here. Remove yourself and take this disgusting piece of idol worshiping statue. This crucifix you have around your neck, get rid of it. It's disgusting. This hands of Jesus that you have around your neck, get rid of it. It's disgusting. You want to walk around with a cube image of the rock in Mecca? I don't know, I'm just making it up. People, they do all types. If you can walk around the rock 7 times and kiss it and bow your head to it and pray 5 times a day, I'm pretty sure someone has made a necklace with a 6-sided cube and think that's the rock over in Mecca, you know? Right. If they can do that with the cross, then they can do that with that. If they can do it with Buddha, then they can do it with that, right? And we're going to say, get thee hence. Remove all these things from our presence, because just like in Isaiah, the 42nd chapter, we're going to turn back and we're going to be ashamed of all these things that we used to call gods, right? God. Now let's remember these 2 scriptures, because we're going to go back to them at the end. And let's get into the first story I wanted to bring out, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 31, verse 17. Genesis chapter 31, verse 17. Good.
Genesis chapter 31, verse 17.
Now, to give you a little backdrop, Jacob is having some issues with Laban, the father of both his wives, right? Of Leah and Rachel, or Rebecca. Is it Rebecca? I always confuse the 2 names. The two sisters that he got married to, that Laban gave him, right? He's having some issues with him, and he's treating Jacob very poorly, right? Very wickedly. Keep going.
Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting which he had gotten in Padanaram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan.
So right now, Jacob is packing up all his stuff. He's taking all 4 of his wives. He's taking all his sons. He's taking all his belongings, all his sheep, his cattle, everything that he owns. Everything that he owned and gained and worked for while he was living with Laban, right? In the land, in his land. and he's going to pack up and take everything back to his father, Isaac, living in the land of Canaan, which is Israel. Read the next verse.
And Laban went to share his sheep.
And while his father-in-law was out working, not aware of what was going on, right? This is what Jacob was doing. Keep going.
And Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's.
What did Rachel do?
Stole the images that were her father's.
So what did Rachel do here? Yeah, brother?
She stole some graven images from her
Yes,
father.
she stole the gods that her father worshipped. Why did she do that? If her father believed in these false gods, right, and he worshipped them and prayed to them, what would he teach his daughters to do? Sis?
Pray and worship them as well.
Yeah, so his daughters would then pray and worship them as well. So then why did she steal these idols? Sis?
She wanted it to praise him.
Correct, because she loved these fake gods. Keep in mind, she wasn't under the same rule as Jacob was, because Jacob knew who he was supposed to serve, right? He would have known that Laban doesn't worship the Most High God like Jacob's supposed to be worshiping, right? So his wife Rachel, Laban's daughter, stole these idols, these fake gods, these graven images from her father because she loved these fake gods and graven images. Now, just off of this, right? Your love for these fake gods, your love for these fake idols, what could it cause you to do? Your love for fake gods and your love for these false idols, what could it cause you to do?
As far as what? Because if you never was worshiping God and these are the things that you was worshiping, I don't understand. As far as Rachel in this sense? Or
Yes. Her love for these gods caused her to do something because she loved them so much.
Oh.
Correct. When you start worshiping false gods, when you start worshiping idols, you end up breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments of God. By you deciding to no longer care about God, it opens the road for you to commit sin upon sin upon sin, right? So to us, what Rachel did, it was two sins here. One, the fact that she was worshiping all these fake gods, right? And then the fact that she ended up stealing from her own dad. She ended up stealing these fake images that her dad worshipped and taught her to worship and love. Let's go to verse 29. Verse 29.
Genesis chapter 31, verse 29. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesterday night, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Now
let's read this again and slowly, right? Because this is Laban speaking to Jacob. Read it again.
It is in my power of my hand to do you hurt.
So Laban is telling Jacob, Laban ends up learning that Jacob fled, that Jacob left, took all his stuff, took his daughters, his family. Laban ends up going after him, catches up to him. And Laban says, I have the power to hurt you. I have the power to mistreat you, I have the power to strike you down right now, right? Keep going.
But the power of your father spoke unto me yesterday night.
Who?
The power of your father, the God of your father, spoke unto me yesterday night, saying,
how come Laban's gods didn't speak unto him?
Because his God's not real.
Yes, because his gods are not real. But Jacob's God, the God of Abraham and Isaac, that is the true living power. That is the only true living God. And it wasn't Laban's images that spoke to him in his dreams or spoke to him and sent an angel or did anything of that. It was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that spoke to Laban yesternight. So last night. And what did God tell Laban?
Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad.
And he told Laban, the one true living power, not no fake idol, not no graven image, not no spirit of the trees and of the cow and Buddha, but the one true power told Laban, you better not speak bad nor good unto Jacob. Right? You would think, well, you have your God, I have my God will stop you. But nothing intervened, nothing stopped the Most High Power just from speaking to Laban. Keep going.
And now, though thou wouldest need be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods?
And you say, okay, I understand that you want to go back home and that you're traveling back home to your father's house, but why are my gods stolen? Where are my gods? Did you or someone that's with you steal my idols, the things that I worship and pray to? Right? How come these false images didn't speak to Laban in his dream? Oh, they're here. This person has them. You can find us in Jacob's carriage, or one of his camels, or one of the horses that he might have, or in the statue of one of the attached to one of the cows, because his gods don't exist. So he's begging and going crazy trying to find his fake gods, his little statues and figurines, to these fake things that he prays to and gives honor to and sacrifices to. All right? Go to verse 34. So now Laban is looking all over the place for his fake gods, his worthless idols, right? And he's checking Jacob's place, he's checking Leah's place. Now he's going to check the room, basically the room of Rachel. Rachel's property he's about to check. Read.
Now Rachel had taken the images.
What?
Now Rachel had taken the images.
Rachel, as we knew in verse I believe it was 29, right? 18. No, 19. That we learned that Rachel took them, right? Now it's saying here, verse 34, Rachel had taken the images. Jacob doesn't know that, her sister doesn't know that she took it. All we know is that Rachel took these images. No one else knows that we know of. Right? Keep going.
And put them in the camel's furniture.
And she did what?
Put them in the camel's furniture.
So her knowing that her father's there looking for the images that he loves, which she loves also, on top of her stealing, she hides these images. All right, keep going.
And sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And
while she hid these images in the camel furniture, sits on the camel furniture, she's watching her dad run around, like lifting this here. Is it under the bed? Is it in this shoe? Is it in this chest? Is it behind this mirror? Is it under these blankets? He's going crazy looking for these fake gods, right? But he can't find them. Next verse.
And she said to her father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images.
So what does she do here?
She lied again.
She stole first, and then she's lying to her own dad. So what does worshiping false gods and idols do? Make you sin. It makes you sin even further. You worship the Caesar Borgia, and then you become a drug dealer. You worship Caesar Borgia, and then you become a TikTok and Twitter booty shaker and stripper. You worship Allah, and you become a drug dealer. You worship Buddha, and you end up shaving your head bald and putting like burned dots on your forehead, 6 of them, like those monks do in Shaolin and all that. You end up doing all types of sin because you're worshiping these false gods. All right? So let's go on to the next story I got lined up for you guys, right? I want you all to go to 1 Kings chapter 11. 1 Kings chapter 11. But before we go there, go to Deuteronomy 17 and 17.
Right.
Hold 1 Kings chapter 11, then go to Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 17. When you got Deuteronomy 17 and 17, you can read, all right?
Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 17. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself.
Now, when people read this, they think, well, it says right here that men can't have multiple wives. It's not what it's saying. Right. The way we know that this is not what it's saying is when we finish reading the verse. Keep going.
That his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold.
So if we can't multiply, if men can't have multiple wives, then men shouldn't have lots of money either.
Right.
So men should be poor. You shouldn't make. Men can't be making more than $25,000 a year. Then, a body want to say something?
God, so I was just gonna say, remember that's talking about a king. So you're basically saying your nation should be broke.
Exactly, right? So what it's talking about here is that it's making you turn away from who? If you have multiple wives, you risk turning away from who? If you all you care about is getting more and more money, is becoming richer and richer and richer, you risk turning yourself away from who? Most High. It doesn't mean that a man can't have 1, 2 women, 3 women, 4 women. It doesn't say that a man should not have $100,000 or be a millionaire or be a multi-millionaire. What it's saying is that a man needs to be cautious, because having multiple wives can lead you to turning away from God. Having lots of money can lead you from turning away from God, because multiple wives, right, can make you end up worshiping their gods, or can end up being weak and giving into them, into what they want to do. Having lots of money can turn you into worshiping money as your God, right? So keep this in mind, and let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11.
Start at the top.
Yep, chapter 11, verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon.
Who?
King Solomon loved many strange women.
Now remember, in Deuteronomy 17 and 17, it said, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. And we're reading right here that King Solomon loved many strange women. So not only did King Solomon love Israelite women, what he was supposed to, it said he loved strange women. Keep going.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh,
Africans,
women of the Moabites,
Chinese,
Amorites,
other Asians like the Japanese,
Edomites,
white women,
Zidorians.
I believe that's
Those are Africans.
Those are Hamites, right?
Africans.
Another Hamite.
Yeah.
And Hittites.
More Africans.
Right.
What does Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 3 say? I'll read it for you. Hold where you're at right here, right? Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 3. We went over this, I think, the first class or the second class, right? It says, Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. And when you read verse 1, it's listing different types of heathens that we weren't supposed to marry, right? And verse 17, it says, neither multiply women unto you, for it will turn you away.
Right.
And what does King Solomon do? He's supposed to be the wisest man on the entire earth, right? In his old age, he ends up doing what?
Loves many strange women.
He ends up loving many strange women. He ends up doing the one thing that he knows that he's not supposed to be doing. Marrying Africans, marrying Chinese, marrying Japanese, marrying more Africans, marrying white women, right? Read verse 2.
Of the nations concerning which the Most High said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods.
And this is exactly what it says in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So King Solomon is messing up. He's marrying these strange women, these heathen women, right? When he knows that the Lord said not to, because they'll turn away. They'll turn your heart away from serving him and serving these false gods. Next verse. Verse 3.
And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart.
So Solomon had 1,000 women, and his women turned him away from serving God. These heathen women that he was with, because it mentions the heathen women, and it's mentioned that he shouldn't go on to these heathen women because they will turn him from serving God. So these heathen women that he was with turned him away from serving God. Keep going.
For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods.
So when he got old, these wives that he had, these heathen wives, did exactly what God said they were going to do and what he should not be doing. Serving God to these fake idols, to their graven images. Keep going.
And his heart was not perfect with the Most High's power, as was the heart of David his father.
And he was so solid and perfect with the Lord. He had no sin before. He had no sin. Am I right, Abadia? King Solomon had no sin before this moment right here. He was perfect. His love for God was perfect. God's love for him was perfect. But the moment he started to marry these heathen women, that's when he started to sin. That was his first sin. Then his second sin was starting to worship these false gods. Keep going.
For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
Now you were learning about the first two gods that he started to worship.
Evil in the sight of the Most High.
He did what?
Evil in the sight of the Most High.
Because after disobeying God and marrying heathen, he went and then decided to spit in God's face and worship these false gods that have no power.
Right.
Keep going.
And went not fully after the Most High, as did David his father.
Now David worshiped the Lord always and forever. King Solomon started off worshiping the Lord. Now he stops worshiping the Lord fully. He stops giving all his love to God. He stops giving all his sacrifices and thanks and praise to God. And he starts giving it to these fake images, these graven images that can't walk, that can't speak, that can't talk, that can't save you, can't do nothing. Keep going.
Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh and the abomination of Moab in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
And to make matters worse, he ended up building them high places, ended up building them altars where people can go and worship these fake gods. Keep going.
And likewise did he for all his strange wives.
What?
And likewise did he for all his strange wives.
And all his strange wives, all the heathen women that he married that he wasn't supposed to, he built them altars and temples and high places for all their gods. Whatever God they believed in, he built something for that God because of his wife, his heathen wife. Keep going.
Which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.
And they burnt incense and they made sacrifices, not in the name of the Most High God Yahweh, not in the Most High power, but to these fake gods, the Kamash and Molech and Milcom and Ashtaroth. Keep going.
And the Most High was angry with Solomon.
And what?
The Most High was angry with Solomon, because his heart had turned from the Most High power of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice.
So got something good that's cooking. Trimus never walked on water, never sailed on a boat, never brushed his hand on one of his believers' cheeks, or everything was going to be all right. None of that stuff. But he spoke to God.
Right.
He saw God twice, right? But he had the nerve to abandon his belief in God. He had the nerve to no longer believe fully in the power that he know was real and alive and physical there.
Right.
Speaking to angels that come back and forth traveling to God, speaking to them, he still decides, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. About it?
If I may, Solomon got about like 2-3 chapters just dedicated. Don't follow hoes. You know what he does?
Some type of symbol or star for Molech. Does it give you a description of the star of Molech or the star of Rephan? Nowhere in the Bible does it tell you this is how it looks.
If I may, just to go back and piggyback on what you're saying now, Solomon is the reason for that. Because people say Solomon got it when he married strange women, and that's their symbol. People will say it's a part of his magic tradition. I've heard some dumb things about what's called.
This is what happens when you're not in the I.S.U.P.K. and you teach yourself and you learn from people that don't know and understand the Bible.
Right.
Right? Let's keep going.
And he commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods.
And God told him, you should not marry heathen women because they're going to make you love and worship false gods. Not literally speaking to the Most High power, but spoken to a representative, an angel that came to him. And then you're just going to say, okay, angel, see you later, and then turn around and go light an incense to Buddha.
Right.
Go smoke a blunt to Shiva or some Hindu god. Right? Keep going.
The Most High said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee.
Stop. Sis? He'll kill you. What else? Sis?
Put you in slavery.
Put you in slavery. Anyone else? Abadia?
Put your kids in slavery.
Put your kids in slavery. God will punish you. However, not going to be his punishment.
Right.
Something's going to happen to you that you're going to suffer from, or the entire nation is going to suffer from. Keep reading.
But he kept not that which the Most High commanded. Wherefore the Most High said unto Solomon, for as much as I have done, this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept the covenant of my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee.
What?
I will surely rend the kingdom from thee.
What does that mean? I'll give you a hint. It's Old English. If you don't know something, what should we do? Look it up.
Right.
For sudden violence, to tear asunder.
To what?
To tear asunder.
To what?
To tear asunder.
Keep going.
To split.
To what?
To split.
Okay. So what did the Lord say he was going to do?
Separate from Canaan.
Correct. The Lord said he was going to tear apart, separate in two, split the kingdom of King David, which was passed down to King Solomon.
Flavia, what's called rend usually is used for clothing, like I'm rending clothing. Which is
So he's tearing, he's going to tear apart this kingdom.
Right.
Keep going.
And will give it to thy servant.
So that what?
To thy servant.
So what?
To thy servant.
So servants, we're going to have our glory. Right. We're going to have our power. Right. We're going to pretend to be us, like they do right now. You have the so-called white Jewish man pretending to be the real Jews, pretending to be the real Israelites ruling. Right. Keep going.
Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake.
Say?
Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake.
He's like, you're lucky that David, your father, loved me perfectly and never stopped loving me perfectly. But you stopped loving me perfectly. So because of your father David, I'm not going to destroy the kingdom while you're alive. Keep going.
But I will rend it out of the hand of thy son.
But your son, who then inherits the kingdom, I'm going to tear it from him. The kingdom from your son. I'm going to let you keep ruling for David's sake. But when you die and your son inherits your kingdom, the kingdom I gave to you, I'm going to destroy it. Keep going.
Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen.
So right here, he's saying how he's going to split the kingdom. So what are we learning right here? What did we just, brother?
Because Solomon got caught up serving unto God, disobeyed the Most High's commandments.
And what was the punishment? Did he punish Solomon?
He punished Solomon's sons. He said, take it out the hand of your son because I love your father so much.
It's greater than that. Sis?
He punished a generation?
It's greater than that. He punished all of Israel. Because are you ruling? Do you have tons of money? Right? He punished all of Israel. Yeah, he split the kingdom when King Solomon's son had it, but he punished all of Israel for the mistake of one man. Because man decided to worship and love other gods when he wasn't supposed to, all of Israel to this day were destroyed. We're still being punished right now because of what King Solomon did. For what we keep doing right now. Because we fill up the Christian church and the Catholic church and the Muslim mosque right here with the Nation of Islam, and we want to earth God's bodies and nations and waters and whatnot, because we want to be Buddhists and learn like the ways of the Shaolin, and because we want to go and worship and smoke marijuana so we become Rastafarian, and we're still destroyed to this day for following the mistakes of one man that should have known better.
Right.
So what we have to do is, right, go back. You don't have to go back now, but I'll go back for you. What we should be doing is doing what Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 17 says. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images, that say to molten images, ye are gods. We should be ashamed that King Solomon did this. We should be ashamed that we still do this. Because if we stopped, we would have the kingdom again. If we stop, the Most High God will send Yahawashi back and crack that, but we have to turn back first. We need to be ashamed of what our and what we do currently right now. Because our people still call the star Molech and Rifnaf and Caesar Borgia, we still call them gods. We still worship them. We stand hands and knees, put our hands together, close our eyes and pray to these meaningless, powerless, good for nothing, fake, not one thing for you. Right. We should be ashamed. So let's drop that. Let's go to the first book of Maccabees. The first book of Maccabees. You can find it in The first book of Maccabees, chapter 1. It's about it. If you guys don't have it in your books, you do, because we also have spare apocryphas here as well. We're starting at chapter 1, First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. So give you a little heads up, right? The Greeks under Alexander, the 4 or 5 different generals, those generals start calling themselves kings and calling their sons and sons and sons kings, and they start fighting each other to take over. Right. And we end up becoming under the power of one of these evil Edomite white Greeks. Right? So read verse 41.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, the king Antiochus,
keep going,
wrote to his whole kingdom.
So we're under the kingdom of King Antiochus. We're under his a vast empire that he conquered, right? And he's writing to everyone in his kingdom. Keep going.
That all should be one people.
The what?
All should be one people.
One new world order. One world. Just like back in Nimrod, when Nimrod wanted to unite all the people together. He's saying that we all should be one people. We shouldn't be Israelites. We shouldn't be Edomites. We shouldn't be Hittites, and we shouldn't be Medes. We shouldn't be Persians. We shouldn't be Ishmaelites. All be one people. Keep going.
And everyone should leave his laws.
What?
And everyone should leave his laws.
Everyone, no matter who you were, should leave your laws. Should leave the customs and cultures of what you believe in and your people. Leave them all. Forget about them. Keep going.
So all the heathen agreed.
Who?
All the heathen.
All these other nations were like, all right, forget our gods, forget our African gods, forget our white gods, forget our Chinese and Japanese gods, forget our Arab gods. That's cool with us. Keep going.
So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Ye, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Who?
Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
And many of us decided to, you know what? We'll just abandon believing in God. Right. And we'll just believe in this religion of this Edomite, this white man. Keep going.
And sacrifice unto idols.
And what?
And sacrifice unto idols.
We know we should have learned from the problem with Solomon. The reason why we're not in rulership was because of Solomon worshiping all these fake gods. So now we're not going to be ruling ourselves anymore because we are sacrificing unto false gods. And it wasn't just one person this time, like with King Solomon. It was many also of the Israelites. Many Israelites consented and decided to abandon the culture, abandon their God, our God, and sacrifice unto false gods. Keep going.
And profaned the Sabbath.
And what?
And profaned the Sabbath.
And basically dishonored the Sabbath day. Keep going.
Right. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
And the king sent messengers with all these letters to go out all throughout the land to inform people that this is what we're going to do. And this is what they should do. Keep going.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festivities.
And we just got rid and we, like, you know how we were learning about we need to defile the coverings of these graven images and come back to the Lord. Right now we're defiling everything that God gave us. Everything that God made holy, feast days, Passover, all the Ark of the Covenant, or all the ornaments that we had. We just defiled them all. Keep going.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
And the sanctuary, the safest place to be, the temple, we polluted it. We did the most horrible things to it, and the holy people. All the people that believed in God polluted themselves, or we were trying to pollute them, get them to stop serving God and to start serving the religion of King Antiochus. Keep going.
Set up altars and groves.
Did what?
Set up altars and groves.
King Solomon did what?
Set up altars and groves.
And what else did King Solomon do?
And chapels of idols.
But here, in this time, centuries later, Israelites did what?
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
We did the same thing. We decided to forget our God, abandon our God. This time we didn't need to marry strange women to do it. We just decided, you know what? These Greek people, they're gonna kill us. So let's just join them. If you can't beat them, just join them. We don't believe that we can beat them, so let's forget our gods, forget our customs, forget what we're not supposed to do, forget the laws that we're supposed to obey and learn from, and let's just set up altars to fake gods. Let us set up groves to these fake gods. Let us set up chapels for these idols. And what else?
And sacrifice swine flesh.
And what?
Sacrifice swine's flesh.
And what?
And sacrifice swine's flesh.
The most disgusting thing that's closest to an Edomite, swine flesh. One of the most abominable things that Edomites and heathens have always tried to and gotten us to eat and partake in was swine flesh. Keep going.
An unclean beast, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
What?
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
What?
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
And our boys, they're supposed to be circumcised on the 8th day. That was like a rite of passage. Like that was like me having a son, me knowing I have to get him to be circumcised on the 8th day because he belongs to the Lord. That's like the agreement every male has to do, because you have to suffer to serve the Lord. You can't just do whatever you want and expect that good things are going to happen to you. Sometimes you have to suffer. Sometimes you have to walk through the wilderness for 40 years and eat nothing but manna to get to the promised land. Sometimes you have to go up against thousands and thousands of men and lose battles and not give up hope just so you can win the war and serve God. It doesn't come easy. God doesn't say, I'm all love. No, sometimes you got to suffer. When you do something wrong, you have to suffer and repent from that. So that way you can start doing things right. Keep going. Go to verse 49.
To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
And they did this to us so that way we can forget the laws of God. So we can change everything that we were supposed to do, that we were not supposed to do, so we can do them. It said not to eat swine's flesh in the Bible, in Leviticus. Let's change that, because the new religion of the Edomites says we have to eat swine's flesh. So now we're going to eat swine flesh. Go to verse 50.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, he should die.
He should what?
He should die.
So if he didn't do whatever the king said in his new religion, this white evil person, you would die. So if you didn't give up the laws of the Most High God, you would die. If you did not eat swine's flesh, you would die. If you circumcise your sons, you and your sons would die. If you get time and you read this on your own, they used to hang the infants. Kill the infants and hang them if they were circumcised. This is all the atrocities white people have done to us throughout the centuries and the years that we've been under their oppression. Go to verse 52.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land.
And so we decided if we can't beat them, we gotta join them. So we would willingly just give in. We forsook the law. We gave up on our law that God gave us. We turned our backs on our God in fear of dying, and we committed all types of evil in the land. Let's go to chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 1.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Joram, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in mourning.
So in those days arose a man named Matthias, and he was the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joram. So he was a descendant of priests, right? He had all these different sons. He had Joanne, Caddis, Simon, called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, who was called Abiron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphis, right? Read verse 6.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem,
say again.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem,
and when Mattathias saw the blasphemies, saw all the things that his people were doing against God, what did he do?
He said, "Woe is me."
He said, "Woe is me. I'm witnessing my own death right now. I'm seeing the destruction of me and my people right now. Seeing my people eat swine flesh, sacrifice swine flesh on the altar, worship all these fake gods, and turn their back away from our God that we're supposed to be following." Keep going.
Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoil?
So right here, he's saying, why was I even born to witness this most catastrophic event? Why am I alive to see how much our people have lost their way and dishonored God, defiling themselves? They did. Our people have done this. They've done this. The other nations have came and stolen all of our precious items. Our infants are not. Our boys are not circumcised anymore. All these things. We're being slaves. Right here. Let's drop down and let's go to verse 14. He's witnessing all these. It's like you being the parent. You left your house nice and clean. You coming home and the garbage is out the garbage bag and thrown all over the sofa. The water, the tub has a stopper and the water is just over and it's going onto your carpet in the hallway. You have your son decides to take ketchup and mustard and spray it all over the walls. Your daughter ends up going and doing her hair and trying to dye her hair different colors and putting her fingerprints of the different dyes on the wall. You come home and your house is a mess. Mattathias is coming into Jerusalem and it's a mess. Right. Everything is torn up. Right. He's seeing how destroyed his people are. His people are just like what we witnessed right here in Harlem. Smoking crack, selling their bodies, killing each other, fighting over each other, saying yes sir to the white man and telling the black man, where's my money? I'm going to kill you if you don't give my money. Mattathias is witnessing what we witnessed in Harlem back in those days. Walking around with ornaments and chains of different gods. Not doing what they're supposed to according to the Bible. Not being a brother to your brother and a sister to your sister. This is exactly what's going on in that time that goes on right here. Read verse 14.
Then Matthias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore.
And they just began to mourn. They tore their clothes off. They weren't naked. They tore their clothes. They tore their outer layer off, their jackets off, and they put sackcloth. Think of like a potato sack. And they mourned and they prayed and they sobbed, asking the Lord for forgiveness, trying to speak to the Lord, trying to figure out what could be done for the Lord to love them again, to come and save them again. Keep going.
In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Mordin to make them sacrifice.
And the king sent his officers to come into Jerusalem to get the people to sacrifice. Sorry, came into the city of Modin to make the people sacrifice unto these false gods. Keep going.
And when many of Israel came unto them, Matthias also and his son came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Matthias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened his sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, ye and the men of Judah also.
So now the officers are trying to butter Matthias up. So listen, you are so wise, you're a ruler, you got all this money, you got all this strong big family. Listen, why don't you do what the king wants you to do first, as an example for everyone to follow, right? Because all the heathens are doing it, you should just do it too, right? Keep going.
And such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
Listen, if you do that, you're gonna be like that, like white on rice. About you?
Kanye and Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're gonna be like Kanye and Donald Trump. Him calling you a smart cookie, and you telling him that this hat makes you feel like a superhero. Right? You're going to be awesome with the king. You're going to have a connection. You're going to have all the money, the gold, the silver, the gold teeth, the Rolls Royces, the Mercedes Benz covered with bulletproof glass. You're going to have all these things. All you got to do is just be the first person and leave and have everyone follow your example and sacrifice on to these false gods. Keep going.
So I mean, how
about you?
I was going to say it's so powerful. People don't understand. Like, bowing down to a false god is a very powerful thing because it shows you like this man is really about to give you a high seat inside this empire and give you friendship with a literal king. Just if you will shut up, put on the MAGA hat, shut up and eat the pork for Christmas, shut up and dye the egg for Easter. He will make you number 2 to a king. You will literally be able to sit in the Oval Office with Donald Trump right now. Just shut up and celebrate Memorial Day.
They do that to every one of us right now. Every one of the freaking people that they think is famous, they look up to, they make you go through all the stupidness that they want you to do, and they get the majority of the power.
Right.
It's terrible.
Keep going.
Then Matthias answered and spoke with a loud voice. Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away, everyone from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments.
And he's like, listen, Mr. Officer, I know all these other people, these heathen nations, have abandoned their own fake gods to worship your God. I know that all these heathen nations have stopped doing what their ancestors did and conform to how the king wants them to live. Keep going.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
What?
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
The balls on Matthias. He's telling this officer, but listen, I ain't doing none of that crap. I'm going to do what I and my sons are going to do what my forefathers did, which was to obey the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're going to obey God. I'm not going to sacrifice my God, who's real, for your God, who's fake. Sis?
I was going to say, he said it with a loud voice.
Yeah, with a loud voice. Nigga was shouting. He was loud. He was like Kanye when people were telling him, talk about his wife being a thought. You know, he gets loud then. He gets angry then. He don't like people talking about his wife being a hoe. Yeah. He don't like that. Right? Keep going.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
Like, God forbid that we should break the laws of God. That we should go against what we're supposed to be doing as Israelites. Keep going.
We will not hearken to the king's word.
What?
We will not hearken to the king's word.
We ain't going to do what the king wants us to do. Keep going.
To go from our religion either on the right hand or the left.
And we ain't gonna go from serving our God either a little bit this way or a little bit that way. We ain't budging. We're gonna stand solid and firm, like every person in the I.S.U.P.K is supposed to be doing, because that is your entire duty as a person in this school. The whole duty of a man is to fear God and to obey Him, and that is exactly what Mattathias and his sons are doing right here. They're making a stand. They're drawing a line in the sand, and we're saying we're not crossing this line.
Right.
We're not going to be the ones to cross this line and disobey our God. Right. We're going to stay right here.
Right.
What's that DMX song? We ain't going anywhere. We right here. Right? That's what Mattathias is saying. We're going to stay right here. We're going to post up on this corner on 125th and Lenox, because this is what we do to teach the word of the God, and we're not going to go anywhere else. We're not going to go and decide to go across the street and join the people talking about Black Lives Matter. Right. We're not going to go across this other street to talk about where's Lenox Lounge at, because the white man turned Lenox Lounge into Wells Fargo. Right. We're not going to go across this street because people are protesting against Whole Foods. Right. We're not doing any of that. We're going to stay right here and preach the word of God. Keep going.
Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Moed, according to the king's commandment.
After he just, said what he said and crossed his arms and said, so do something then. Right? A sellout, Uncle Tom, sorry, not Uncle Tom, a sellout Sambo Coon, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, Rodriguez, whatever fake celebrity, Steve Harvey looking behind person, Raven Simone looking in the face woman, who else? Reverend I.S.U.P.K Sharpton's big head, skinny body looking self decides, you know what? F that. I'm gonna go kill this pig on this altar to this fake God.
Right.
Mattathias is sitting there, posted up, looking at everyone. He's saying in a loud voice so everyone can hear what Mattathias is saying to the king's officer. And he's like waiting for the king's officer to do something. And then here comes Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Raven Simone, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Jeter, Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, Rihanna, Cardi B, Offset, Quavo. What's the other one? Offset, Quavo, Takeoff. Here they come, about to cut and kill this pig for this fake God and disobey God. Keep going.
Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to shew his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Oh, that's right.
So Mattathias was inflamed. He went from a 0 to 100 real quick.
That's right.
Drake made his verse after Mattathias. He went 0 to 100 real quick. He couldn't control himself. He jumped off his horse, took his sword out, and killed Steve Harvey right there on the altar.
Right.
He killed Jesse Jackson right there on the altar. He chopped the head off of Martin Luther King, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan, and Malcolm X all in one swing. Chopped their heads off right there on the altar. From disrespectful and disobedient to the Lord, he saw his own people go. He just stood there and defied the king's order and said, I'm not going to disobey my God for your king's fake God.
Right.
And then one of his people has the nerve to walk past him to do exactly what the king wanted him to do.
Right.
He's like, nah, I ain't going to let this slide. He's dying today.
Right.
For disobeying our Lord, he's dying today. And what else did he do? Verse 25.
Also the king's commissioner.
What?
Also the king's commissioner. who compels men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
He killed the king's commissioner. The king, the officer that came and was telling people you need to sacrifice is the order of the king. He killed them too.
Right.
Keep going. And then he pulled down the altar. The altar that they made for these fake gods, he destroyed it.
Well, sir,
He rend it.
if I may, that was ours. That was the one that Nehemiah built. Because remember,
Yes, correct. He destroyed that altar where they sacrificed all that swine's flesh on. Destroyed it. It was no good anymore. It had been defiled too many times. Keep going.
Thus dealt he zealously for the law of the most, for the law of power, like as Phoenix did unto Zimri, the son of Salem.
And he acted with the same amount of zeal as Phoenix did when they were out in the wilderness.
That, if I may, that's the cat I mentioned the other day with the javelin.
And he struck it through the man in the
Father was having sex with the heathen.
with the human, yes.
If I'm not mistaken, that might be his grandfather, and that's why they mentioned it.
Verse 27.
And Matthias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
And Matthias cried out and said, whoever is zealous for God, follow me. If you want to worship and you believe in our God, the one true living power, follow me. We're not going to be worshiping these fake idols. We're not going to be making sacrifices to these fake gods anymore. Follow me.
Right.
And this is how we all should be. I'm not telling you to go out there and kill anyone. I'm telling you, if you feel that we should be serving the one and true power, come into the I.S.U.P.K and follow Commanding General YAHANNA. Because he's going to show you how and what we can do so that way we can rule again. He's going to show you what we can do and what we need to do so we can break out of these chains, so we can help our people get off drugs and stop serving these white idols and these African idols and these Chinese and Asian idols. All right, drop that. We're going to go into the last scriptures I got for you. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 18. 1 Kings chapter 18.
Like I want to start the top.
Go ahead.
Sorry, that one.
We're going to start at verse 18. So basically what's happening here, right? The kingdom was split, right? And the people are worshiping false gods. Is married to one of the sons of the descendants of King Solomon, right? And she's gotten people to worship her god, Baal or Baalim, right? And Israelites are no longer worshiping the Most High God. They're worshiping Baalim, this fake god, right? And Elijah, who's the man of the Lord at this time, he's coming to challenge those prophets of this fake god. He's coming to challenge the commandment or the order to worship Baalim, right? And let's see what this man of God does. Verse 18.
1 Kings chapter 18, verse 18. And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Most High, and thou hast followed Baalim. And now
Elijah is talking to Ahab, the king at this time, and right, Ahab the king. Yeah. And he's telling him, listen, I'm not doing nothing to bother Israel, right? But you and the people have done away with God. You defiled what you're supposed to be doing. You have defiled the covenant. And you're following this false god named Baalim. Keep going.
Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, And the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the grove 400, which eat at Jezebel's table.
And he said, now listen, I want you to get all these fake gods and all these fake prophets that worship these fake gods, and tell them to meet me at Mount Carmel. It's about to go down. And I'm gonna come by myself, dolo. Bring all 450 of them and tell them to meet me at Mount Carmel. Keep going.
So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel.
So everyone came to come see the smackdown, right? The prophets of Baal came. The regular Israelites who weren't prophets came to see what was going to happen, to see this showdown. Keep going.
And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long have ye between two opinions?
How long have you been stuck between two opinions? Either you're going to believe in God or you're going to believe in Baal. Either you're going to serve God or you're going to serve Baal. Keep going.
If the Most High be power, follow him.
If the Most High God be the God, then follow him.
But if Baal, then follow him.
But if Baal be the real God, then follow Baal.
And the people answered him not a word.
And all you heard was crickets from the people watching. No one wanted to answer anything. No one knew what to say. Keep going.
Then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I only, remain a prophet of the Most High.
And he goes, me, Elijah, I am the only prophet remaining that believes in the one true power. Just me. But all of you that believe in Baal, the 450 of y'all, are against me. Keep going.
But Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks.
Go get 2 bulls.
And let them choose 1 bullock for themselves.
And let the prophets of Baal take one of them.
And cut it in pieces.
Cut it up.
And lay it on wood.
And get ready to make a barbecue for it. Basically, that's what he's saying.
Right. And put no fire under.
But don't put any fire in it, underneath it. Don't add no charcoal. Don't add no. Cut the cattle up. Cut it in pieces. Put it on the.
And lay it on the wood and put no fire under.
And I'll do the same thing. I'll put some sazon, some adobo, some seasoned salts, some Maori salt, right? Right. I'll put some of that on. I'll cut it up and I'll put it on the wood as well. And I also won't put any fire underneath it. Keep going.
And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Most High.
And what 450 men going to do? Y'all going to pray to your God, and I'm going to pray to my God.
And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God.
And whichever God, either your Baal or my Most High power, whichever one burns and the fire ignites, that's going to be God.
And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken.
There's 450 of us. This is Baal is the real God. We got this. We got this. And Elijah's just sitting back like these losers. How they really gonna take this challenge on, knowing that they're Israelites, knowing that our ancestors wrote how powerful our God was. They really gonna take this challenge. It's like he's basically tricking them into their own destruction because they deserved it.
Right.
Keep going.
And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose you 1 bullock. Oh, slack.
No, keep going.
That was it, right? And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first. For ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under.
And he's telling them basically to do what he told them to do. Go dress it up, go cut it up, right? And call on to your God. And let's see what happens.
And they took the bullock which was given, and dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon. So
from the morning to the midday, they're praying to God. They're praying to their God Baal.
Saying,
Baal. Keep going.
saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered.
And they're like, oh, Baal, please listen to us. Show this Elijah person that you are the real power and light the fire underneath this. Keep going.
And they lit the altar which was made.
And nothing's happening, so they jumped on the altar trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, maybe we did something wrong. Maybe we got to put the pieces like this. Maybe we got to put the wood like this. You know, keep going.
And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them.
And Elijah is laughing at them. It's 12 in the afternoon. Elijah's looking at them like these clowns.
And said, cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is journeying, or pre-adventure he sleepeth, and must be awakened.
And he's clowning them. He's like, listen, you guys got to scream louder than that. You know, your God could be going for a stroll. He could be sleeping. He could be with his woman in the bed right now. You got to do something to get his attention because he obviously is not hearing you. Keep going.
And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets, till the blood gushed out upon them.
And they were just crying so much, trying to get their God to hear them. They started taking out knives and cutting themselves. Ever seen how those Muslims, they take the knives on ropes and they cut themselves in the back? Yeah, they cutting themselves all types of ways. Abadja?
Like I was going to mention the Da Vinci Code, those cats do exist.
Oh, I believe it.
The cats would be whipping themselves.
Yeah. You see that National Geographic praying to Allah or some Hindu god or something like that.
Well, so like those cats.
Keep going.
And it came to pass when midday passed, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice.
So from morning all the way to the evening, they were trying to get their god Baal to light this fire. Nothing happened. Keep going.
That there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him.
So nothing happened. They couldn't get their god Baal to light this flame. And Elijah's like, listen, everyone come closer. Come check. Come peek this. Keep going.
And he repaired the altar of the Most High that was broken down.
And he fixed the altar of the Lord. Right?
And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Most High came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Most High.
So he took 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob, and he's putting them in order to create to create the altar, or to create the where he's going to be cooking, where the fire is going to be coming from. Right? Keep going.
And he made a trench about the altar.
You know what a trench is?
It's like a little like digging in the ground.
Yeah, it's like a dugout in the ground. Normally, they put like molten lava or acid or like tar or even water to fill it up, like a moat, basically. But he did it around the altar where he's about to put the bullock and cut into pieces, right?
As great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order and cut the bullock in pieces and laid them on the wood and said, fill 4 barrels with water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood.
If wood is wet, can you set it on fire? So he told the people, go get 4 barrels of water and pour it inside his little pit that he made, that he put the meat on and the wood on. Right? Keep going.
And he said, do it a second time.
And he's like, you know what? That's not enough water. Inside the altar, inside this barbecue pit I made, go get some more.
And they did it the second time. And he said, do it the third time.
That's not enough. Go get more water and pour it inside again.
And they did it the third time. And the water ran round about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water.
So the water is in the altar, the water is filling the trench, so the whole thing's basically engulfed with water. Right? Keep going.
And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Most high power of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God, that thou art power in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word.
And he's praying and calling on to his God, the one true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, listen, everything I'm doing right now, let it be all in your name and all for your glory, all for your honor. Keep going.
Hear me, O Most High, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Most High power, and that thou hast turned their head slack, that thou hast turned their heart back again.
And do this so that way the people can believe in you again and turn back to you again and turn away from these false gods.
Then the fire of the Most High fell.
What?
Then the fire of the Most High fell.
Baal couldn't do this. But what?
Then the fire of the Most High fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench.
And after he said that, everything was on fire. The water was on fire, the altar was on fire, the stones on fire, the dust and the dirt was on fire, the bullet that he put the sazon and the Maori siso on, that everything was on fire. No gasoline, no charcoal, everything's all wet. You can't light you can't set a piece of wood that's wet on fire. But the Most High set everything on fire. Keep going.
And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces.
And all the people, when they saw what just happened right here, after spending hours outside from morning to night and Baal can't do nothing, and seeing the Most High God set everything on fire, they fell on their faces.
And they said, the Most High, he is the power. The Most High, he is the power.
He's God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that's the real God. Keep going.
And Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there.
And at the end, Elijah ordered all these 450 prophets of Baal to be killed. As a lesson for people to remember, if you want to worship false gods, if you want to turn your back on God, there is a punishment to be paid. And when God has to prove himself when he shouldn't have to, you best believe that punishment will be dished out. Everyone's getting spankings. Everyone's getting papaos. In this situation, 450 people died. And with that, I'm going to end the class. To all the brothers that are watching, Shalom Yahweh B'Shem Yashar B'Katham. To the sisters that are watching online, Shalom Yahweh Shema B'Katham B'Shem Yahushai.